Hello, everybody. I am Brian Stokes, licensed master of social worker and therapist at Tools for Success Counseling. And today we have an amazing guest. Not just because she's a licensed clinical social worker, not just because she is bilingual, uh, but because she works at Tools for Success, and she's taking on clients, and the holiday season is around, and we know that everybody needs a little pick me up, a little carry me through. Can you guide me to get through some things? Her name is Jennifer Wallace-Johnson. Hi, Jen. How you doing today?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Good, good. I am glad to have you. How long have you been at Tools so far?
I lost track of the years, but I'd say about 4 years now, or going on 4 years or so.
Okay, you are a
Mhm.
veteran at Tools then, because that's one of the longest ones that I've seen other than
Mhm.
TAM. Jen, can you tell us just something about yourself before I ask you all about your life and where you've been and where you're going?
Yeah, I'm happy to. Let's see. Well, you already highlighted how long I've worked for Tools of Success as a licensed clinical social worker, and it's a part-time role for me. I work full-time as a college professor, social work professor in a local
Hmm.
college. Um, yeah, I love what I do in both capacities, and they both overlap very nicely and allow me to foster the skills in this work all day, every day, and I really
Hmm.
find it rewarding.
Okay, so you said college. So with you working at a college, uh, do you have the capacity to take on more college students as clients?
Yeah, so like obviously from my location, it wouldn't be, it would be a conflict of interest to work with students that I work with. But certainly I work with a lot of the college student population outside of my college just because I have that niche, or niche. I don't even know how to say that right, but that's an area that, I have a lot of experience in navigating. And so I tend to work with a lot of college students.
Okay, perfect. So what first drew you into being a social worker?
Are you ready? No, I'm just kidding. You know, let's just shorten this, right? So I think like many of us, a very winding road that led me there, in part because of, my life journey and circumstances and not knowing exactly what I wanted to do with my life and not having necessarily, those opportunities in my life at the forefront, right? I didn't have the opportunity to think about college really until it was right in front of me. And I was really interested in psychology and I was a college athlete. And that's really the only reason I started to go to school to begin with because I wanted to play ball. And my
Okay.
interest was the mind and human behavior and the road through that and not finishing when I was young and starting life and having multiple different positions and different roles, such as police officer, being in the military, doing all these sort of diverse things to kind of figure myself out really led me to hone in on social work because once I knew more about it and there was a program that was newly developed at my college that I work at the time, it really drew my attention in, and I said, "This makes a lot of sense for what I started with and where I'm going." I think it made a lot of sense, and it was an accelerated program, and I was right. Like I loved everything about studying social work. It was very much aligned to who I am, and the rest is history. The combination of experience and falling on my face a few times, and
Mm.
just keep pursuing things. And I knew deep down inside that healing work. I call it healing work because I feel like that's more aligned to who I am. But healing work was something that drew me in as a young person. I didn't know what that would look like, but I certainly
Mhm.
had the imagination and the aspiration to like, I think I could be a therapist someday.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear that you said I wasn't going to college until it was there, like right in my face, and then at this moment, licensed clinical social worker, therapist, and college professor. Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
okay, okay, just go with the flow. In some instances, and I heard you talking about resilience. How is resilience? I read your bio, of course, partnered like with the work that you do with the population you work with.
Whew. Well, I think that just to survive these days, everybody has to have some level of resilience. And
Mm.
I think that comes with the territory. And then if we look at, underserved populations, which I work with at the college level and I also would work with in the therapy world and as well as my own personal experiences, we're talking about a whole lot of resilience we need to build to get past some of the barriers. Like college wasn't at the forefront of my mind for a lot of reasons. That being said, I think that, I built my own resilience through my own journey, and I feel very passionate about helping others find their own. It really comes from within. It comes from within. And so the work that we do in peeling back those layers and getting people to help access who they really are and the strengths that they have and the gifts that they have, like, it builds on all of that. It builds on the idea that, you really just need to be anchored in your own, inner self and your authenticity, and the rest will come.
So for somebody that's listening, because oftentimes we get these sayings like, "Okay, I'm motivated." What's a small space to start? Just a small something that you can do every day to when you say it's in yourself, anchor yourself. What can someone do?
Mm. Well, for someone who's totally unfamiliar with anything that I would normally tell somebody, I would say start with understanding what accountability looks like.
Hmm.
What does it mean? What does it look like? And what does it mean for me as an individual? Because in order for us to get one foot in front of the other, we have to be able to hold ourselves accountable. So I think understanding what that means is a first step. Now, if we were to work together longer, I would definitely prescribe mindfulness practices.
Hmm.
Mindfulness practices and anchoring yourself in that, as well as understanding what the accountability looks like as a human being who has to be able to rely on herself. Like, that's where resilience comes from. I think those are like two very important things to consider.
Okay, perfect. So accountability, I was coming on strong. Accountability and mindfulness, but accountability first. Okay. Uh, I also read that you connect like your experiences, your lived experiences with the cultural context at the forefront of your practice. So what does that look like in a room with clients?
Well, I think because I have a diverse background, it allows me to bring that into my work. And I really have always been passionate about honoring who I am and my lived experiences. So I'm not shy about sharing those parts of myself where it's appropriate, as well as using that to make connections with other people. So being, socioeconomic background,
Mm.
lived experiences, being from Springfield, and being a Latina, growing up and with certain circumstances that a lot of our community can relate to, then I bring those out. Right. And I highlight things that perhaps they didn't consider that I had the privilege to understand through my journey, through my education, through my work. Like, cultural expectations and, cultural trends that tend to be, pretty consistent in different pockets of different, backgrounds. And I can relate to that. And I'll bring that up often and help people dissect that. And what does that mean for me? And do I have to continue on that path, or is something different for me that makes more sense for my wellness journey? And how do I separate myself from that? And I think that's probably the biggest way that I bring that into the conversation.
Beautifully said. It's a great thing when you can sit in therapy and see yourself, and someone can actually feel, a part of like what you've been through and be able to reflect with you. So that is,
Hmm.
especially now, it's amazing. Thank you for that. Um, in that you mentioned self-reflection. So how do you guide clients with that without them being overwhelmed? Because therapy is still
It's
sometimes
layered.
taboo. People are open. So some people just want to know sometimes, like, okay, well, how are you going to guide me through this? Because I'm already overwhelmed and I don't know what to do.
Hmm. I think there's not a one size fits all.
Mm.
Every person is unique in every way, regardless if there's similarities in our backgrounds or in our communities or whatever the case may be. We're very unique down to the things we can't see. And
Mm-hmm.
I think understanding that, reading the room is that first thing as a seasoned clinician, or at least getting towards that feeling of being like embedded in this work for a while. I think that's one thing we have to understand as a clinician. And I think that's something that I try to honor. It's the idea that if the person is not ready to take a step, they're just not ready to take a step. And it's really the person and I understanding the why.
Mm-hmm.
What's holding us back? What's creating the doubt? What's creating the barrier? What are the layers to this? And sometimes it's a straightforward thing, and sometimes there's a lot of layers to peel back in order to get there.
Okay. Can we hop into your clinical aspects of some things, if you don't mind? Your clinical focus?
Hmm. So I
Oh,
don't, yeah. So, I don't think I have a specific focus. I think that I have a lot of experience working, one, with women. I think it's an area that I thrive in. I'm not opposed to working with men, but I think that I have a unique ability to work with women in a certain way, and I find it very rewarding to help women find their power and their confidence and know how to set boundaries and all the things that come along with, just being a woman in this society. So, I think that that's an area that I thrive in. I think in terms of working with certain things, I think I work a lot with low self-confidence, anxiety, depression, trauma. In terms of like specific skill sets, I really consider myself a holistic therapist, and I anchor all my work in mindfulness practices, but not opposed to anything else that's needed. So I'll pull. I consider myself eclectic, as most social workers do.
Mm,
I pull from all areas of evidence-based practices. I don't have a specific training or credential in a specific modality. However, I have no problem pulling from any modality that's available to me that I think would make sense for a client.
okay. So we can mix a little bit of anything all
Hmm.
together because, like you said, it's not one size fits all. We can find what you need and then provide you with the service that is best for you.
You got
Okay.
it.
So, what's one technique? What is one small but powerful technique you use to help people move from insight to action?
Hmm. So, besides talk therapy, there has to be work outside of that. That's a
Okay.
great release for people. That's a great, starting point to be able to open up and dig in and look at things from different angles. And then there has to be some more processing outside of that. There has to be inner work, and there has to be time for us as people to go inside. And a lot of times people don't even know what that means.
Hmm.
I'll be honest. And I didn't understand what that meant as much until like deeper into this work. And there's nothing that I will what do you say, encourage someone to practice that I won't practice myself.
Oh,
And
okay.
that being said, the basics would be writing our feelings down, processing, and all the different ways that we can do that, right? We are so indoctrinated and programmed to do things a certain way and to constantly listen to some external forces about how we're doing things and who we're answering to and how does it have to be perfect. So even writing things down for people are a huge challenge for a lot of reasons. And sometimes it's just being able to not judge themselves.
Mm,
Right. So there's just work in just physically bringing in and processing the thoughts that are out there in the consciousness somewhere that are stewing around in our brains, that are we're reliving things. We need to extract that. We need to energetically bring that to the reality plane and face it. And I think that's really powerful. And I think breathing techniques are sorely underutilized, but they're also, my opinion, they're utilized as a reactive measure as opposed to a proactive measure. So some of my first work with anyone, especially when we're facing any type of emotional dysregulation or anything, to be honest, is really getting to the center of ourselves, being able to harmonize our bodies, being able to get rid of the static that builds up in our bodies every day from just the outside world and technology and the food and all the things that make
yeah.
humanity sick.
Yes. Yes. Okay. I like how you said the breathing work as being proactive rather than reactive. So, are you saying, hey, you wake up, let's do some breathing work right then and there? Let's start your day like that?
Mhm. That is one of the main things I have people student I was gonna say students, but I have and students too, right? I teach counseling techniques, I teach, a lot of different things, but myself, every day gratitude, and I might start with that with someone at first, like practicing gratitude is a mind shift. It's opening up your perspective every day. It's anchoring you in the possibilities, the opportunities, the positivity of that's around you that we often don't we're not able to focus on because of the stress the other
Mm,
distractions. So gratitude practice, a breathing exercise, not when you feel bad, every day. Because we are never, what I like to say, we're never on our station. We all have our own station. We're never on it unless we take time to regulate. So what we're accustomed to doing is putting a bandage and a distraction and keep plucking away and putting out and hamster wheel. That's what we're accustomed to doing. And that's the formula that gets us all sick.
okay. Do you believe that? Because I'm a person, I have three children. Uh, what
Hmm.
can parents do to check in with themselves? Those parents who feel like they don't have a lot of time. Well, how can
Hmm.
I check in with myself? How can I do breathing where there's not enough time in the
Hmm.
day?
Hear it all the time.
Yeah, with ourselves. But what
Yeah.
can someone do that can actually fit in the time to start to feel that inner work being done, or
Mhm.
just the mind for a moment?
Mhm. So one thing I tell my students, and I tell anyone that I talk about this, is time. You're not gonna convince me you don't have the time.
Not,
No one is gonna convince me. We control what we do with our time.
hmm
And there
hmm
are moments in the day that we control. We choose to use it differently.
You're absolutely right.
And there's no one that's gonna convince me any different. If you really wanna invest in your wellness, then you're gonna get up a little earlier before you gotta get your kids up and take 5 minutes to self-regulate, put your feet in the grass and take a breath, and practice some gratitude for waking up that day, and then go wake up your kids.
You are, you here to heal or not? What you want to do? That's
You're funny. I do have that energy, but I promise you, it's a soft energy and a hard energy, but sometimes we need a little bit of both.
for
And I try to master how I use it, right? And I am passionate about that because I got to argue with students who say they don't have the time to take care of themselves. And I just don't believe it. I've been a student,
hmm
and I'm not saying it's one size fits all. We know that's not the case. But what I am saying is that we are programmed to think we ain't got the time to
correct.
put out and look at the next obligation, the next thing I got to do for this person, the next boss I got to answer to. That's
Yeah,
what we're programmed to do. But as soon as we're able to slow that down and realize, oh, wait a minute, when you start stopping and taking breaths and you check in, you realize, well, I could do this anytime, anywhere. First
yeah.
of all, I could do this right now when my kid is throwing a temper tantrum. I can pause and walk away and take 5 deep breaths. So there's no such thing.
Okay. I can appreciate it because one moment you are like, all right, you want to heal or not, but at the same time you're saying, now put your feet in some grass. All right, now thank you, and take a deep breath. All right, where were we? So yeah, that's the thumbs
It
down.
takes commitment. That's where accountability comes in, right?
Mhm.
That's where, we have to anchor ourselves in our own accountability or we can't go inward. We can't take care of ourselves if we're answering to everything outside of ourselves.
Constantly.
It's a barrier.
Yeah. Yeah. Even you saying it out loud for me, I'm like, yeah, I'll make time for just about anything, and I'll have an excuse for myself, like, is this for me?
Yeah, we second guess ourselves, right? This whole process, I mean, we could talk about this for days with me, but this whole thing about mindfulness is really helping you be self-aware and present and clear-minded and regulated. We are never that way. Everything outside of ourselves is stress. And if it's not physical, visible stress, it's invisible stress.
Mhm.
And we are already programmed to stuff that down and keep it moving, put out, put out, put out, put out. And some people are just able to put out and hide it better than others.
Mhm. That
It's
is
not the
so good.
formula. It's just not the
Yeah.
formula.
Yeah. Yeah. Check in with yourself. Sometimes I have seen this multiple times with clients, and I'd love for you to speak on it. They're scared to get to that point because at the point when things are good and I kind of know myself, what if I don't want to know myself? What if I like what I have created and I like a little bit of chaos all the time and it just keeps me
Mm,
going? If it's too
mm,
calm, I, you know, do it. I need a
mm.
little something to push me forward.
I've had clients like that. And really, my question would be then why are you in therapy? I mean, realistically, I obviously wouldn't put it like that directly, but it would be a conversation of so what is it that we are trying to accomplish here?
Mm,
If you recognize the chaos are not good, but you still want to feed the chaos, something doesn't quite jive. And most of the stuff that, I want to say most, but a lot of the things that, the barriers are perceived, the limitations are perceived in our mind.
mhm,
We keep feeding that, those things still exist. And the cycle continues.
mhm. Y'all better book Jennifer because okay. You want to heal, you want to get it together, you want to be whole, you want to know yourself. Okay.
Might not be for everybody, but that's okay. I'll help you find the right person for you.
So you knowing all of this, you doing this inner work and having an understanding of that, uh, what keeps you grounded when you are feeling heavy? What do you go to?
I love that you asked me that because that is exactly what I described on a basic level is what I do. Right.
Hmm.
So I just like everybody else, I'm putting out. I'm putting out. I'm working all day. I work 2 jobs. I got family. I got kids. I have hobbies. We all have stuff, and it doesn't end necessarily unless we control that, how we manage it, when we do things. A lot of the things that we do are programmed. And I keep saying that is because, we often don't realize that we have the power to make the change.
Mhm.
We don't need nobody else to do that for us, right? So as I developed in this work and embedded myself more in mindfulness practices, it became a regular practice for me, not just when I think of it, as a practice every single day, whether it's 5 minutes before class, 2 minutes before class, in between class, and definitely in between jobs. Right. So, some of the things that I do, and I share this with my students, and I encourage everyone to do, is as soon as I get home from work, I stop. I have more work to do. I do. I could work round the clock if I let that bother me. There is always something I have to do. I'm teaching 9 classes right now.
Ooh.
Right. So you can't tell me you don't have time. You know what I mean? So I pause. I pause, and I've been working all morning. I go to work at like 6 in the morning. So I come home and I pause and I make sure I know what are the things that I really do, I should get done today. And what are the things that I could just wait and do it tomorrow morning because it's going to be another 6 a.m. start. That's
Mm.
number one. Number two, regardless if I have more things to do, I deserve the pause to self regulate, to calibrate, to discharge any negative energies I had from the day, being in class, being stressed, running around, just transition. So I go directly outside when I come home. I go outside, I take my shoes off, I put my feet in the grass, and I breathe and I close my eyes and I engage in meditation and self care. And I do that every day, multiple times a day, even if it's just for a couple minutes at a time. If you spend 20 minutes, just 20 minutes a day with your feet in the grass, you have no idea how many health benefits and how much your body will heal just from that. So I do that. And if I
Mm.
can't do that, I'm doing it somewhere. Before I
Mhm.
teach my classes, I make sure I stop what I'm doing. If it's only 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever I got, and I breathe and I meditate before class.
Mm.
I get my mind right. And I do it as often as I possibly can. And then if I feel like I'm falling away and not feeling harmonized, I like to say, calibrated, regulated, then I take extra time for me. And if it means I have to leave my home and go away and go to nature for, on a hike by myself, then that's what I'm going to do. Whatever it takes for me to get self regulated and discharge that static, I'm going to do
Okay. So this is for me because listen, you preaching to me right now because I'm like 20 minutes in the grass is free. You ain't even saying go purchase anything.
it.
You
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, you can find some grass,
Mm-hmm.
take your socks off. There you go. There's the benefit of that.
Mm-hmm. Hug a tree.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
How long did it take you to be able to? Because you're teaching 9 classes. You are a therapist. You are a mom. You are a wife. How long did it take you to be able to put yourself first while still doing all the things? Because it seems like there is still a balance. You have a lot going on, but you're like,
Mm-hmm.
there's still time for me where I'm going to get the pause. I'm going to do something health wise for you. Okay, I'm going to take this hike. How are you juggling it? Because I see right now you say you can't tell me you don't have the time. You can't tell me you don't have the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think it's been a work in progress. And I don't think I'm done. I don't have it all figured out. I think that because I've, one, held myself accountable to making a change, two, stayed consistent,
Mm.
three, it opened up my lens to see, hold up, I control this thing. We give our power up for everything outside ourselves in the smallest ways. And I just stopped doing that. I stopped doing that. I took my time back. And so I think, on in a technical sense, that started when I was in, college, being a mom, working full time, doing an internship, working 2 jobs and an internship, being a mom, playing basketball, doing all these crazy things, and just feeling like I didn't have the right sort of formula to do it all at the time. But it was non-negotiable for me.
Hmm.
So number one, I made it a non-negotiable, so I had to figure it out. And then I got better at it over time. I realized, hold up, this go hard or go home thing isn't the way.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I did that for a long time. And that was my mentality. I'm an athlete, I'm a former military, and I'm a former cop. It's
Mhm.
go hard or go home, right? So I had to quickly figure out, hold up. That is not the way. That is one way. That is not the way to keep us on our sustainable, what I like to say, sustainable wellness.
Hmm.
Sustainable wellness is not that. That's a recipe for, draining your tank.
Yeah.
You have to be able to be balanced in what you put into your tank. So I started to critically analyze that. And then as I started to practice more mindfulness, that's what led me to more clarity, right? You have to think when I'm talking about your body having static, that's all the time if you don't practice mindfulness. Every single person around you is not calibrated. So they're up against emotions, stress, the body functioning, not functioning right because the stress you're not even recognizing because we're so conditioned to just push through until something explodes in our body and our minds and our life. That's what we're taught to do. So we don't even recognize it half the time. So by me practicing something consistently, it allowed me to recognize just how faulty the way that we live is
Hmm.
and how disconnected we are from our true nature, which I believe is what mindfulness is. It is who we are. It is our most maximum calibrated state of being, and we're not taught that. And we're not taught that essentially will keep you healthy in more ways than one.
Yeah.
And so I guess just with time, I made it a non-negotiable for myself. And so even if it means I got to put something down and wait till the next day, then that's what I'm going to do.
So just as much as you are at your job working, my health is my job as well. Just as
Yep.
I am a mom, my health is a job as well. This is
Yep. Yep.
okay.
Yep. And as a woman, we're socialized, and I'm not saying men are not in different ways, but at least from my journey, my perspective as a woman in society, we are socialized to put everybody above ourselves and everything. And that's a real hard thing to switch in the brain until you start switching it in your brain and you realize how much you can thrive
Mhm.
and how
Mhm.
much better you are for other people and how much more effective you are at everything that you've been trying so hard to keep up with when you actually self regulate proactively. Not distractions and bandages. That's what we're trained to do.
Mhm.
Let me go hit the bag real quick. I'm stressed, right? That feels good for the moment. It's all going to come flooding back when you sit back down and go do your work or whatever it is you're going to do. So it's really about sustainable wellness. It's about keeping us at our most centered all the time and striving for
Okay. Okay. So y'all, she's saying give the grass 20 minutes. You can start there.
that. Please do. Don't matter. I don't want to hear it's cold. I don't want to hear
Yeah.
it's cold. Nope. That's a trap.
Just 20 minutes. Put a hat on. Put a hat and a scarf on. You'll be fine.
Break it up if you have to. 5 minute increments. But if you get 20 minutes a day, like, do your own research. 20 minutes a day and the health benefits of your body in contact with the earth. Like, the fact that we're so disconnected from it is mind-boggling to me.
Mhm.
We're not meant to be. Our
Mhm.
bodies are made up of the composition of the earth. Like, just think about it. You're not supposed to be disconnected from it.
Mhm. I'm with you. I am with you. It's refreshing, definitely to hear, and I forget the simplicity, of it, because I'm just like, okay, I'm at the gym, I'm working out, I'm eating right, I got these clients, okay, I did it, but it's never, it like that.
Listen.
But
Exactly. And I'm glad that you see that. I have never been more holistically well. Being an athlete, being somebody who always I still do all those things to a certain degree, but nothing has become more consistent and important than what I'm sharing with you today, which is
mm,
mindfulness and incorporated in your life in all aspects in any way that's feasible. You consistently do that, you will feel the best you have ever felt. You just have to stay the course. Because
mhm,
just as much static has built up in our body just from being in this world, however long we've been in it, it's just how much work we got to put into reversing
mhm. So good, and I can feel the energy from you, like, hey,
that.
really it. I'm really doing it. If you really want to be healed from the inside out, and I'm not selling you anything. I'm literally telling you you deserve it. Here you go.
You have the tools. You
Free.
have the tools. Yep.
Hey, but okay.
Yep. It's a
All
part
right.
of
So
us.
if
Mhm.
somebody's watching this and they're just a little skeptical still about getting into therapy, even though I don't know why they would be with you, because it's like, hey, I'm here and I
Because I
got it.
might make you put your feet in the grass. No, I'm just kidding.
in the cold. But
Yep.
somebody feel skeptical about it. What way can they prepare? What questions can they come with? Like if somebody wants to come for like a consultation, it's still like, hey, I'm trying to feel comfortable. In my family, they say you really don't talk to anybody unless you're crazy. But
Hmm.
what
Or
what
at
what
all, right?
at all? Press it down. You got
Yep.
it. Strong enough.
Yep.
Pray, pray. Take it to
Yep.
God. And if that
Yep.
doesn't, you're not praying hard enough. You know that. Yeah, that's right. What can they do? What can they ask?
I,
How can they prepare?
one thing I tell everybody, we don't get nowhere if we don't put one foot in front of the other. That's number one, right? So it's what it is. So the first thing is like we have to let go of preconceived notions, expectations, and just realize. Is what I tell a lot of people is like you have the power here. So by you, connecting with someone you're curious about because you might be interested in therapy, there's no strings attached. There is no strings attached. That is an inquiry for your well-being. Nothing more, nothing less, and you're not held to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So it don't cost you nothing to have a consult with someone and explore what it might be like. And you're going into that to form your own determination about if someone is a good fit for you. So if it don't feel right, it don't feel right, and you don't ever have to talk to that person again.
Really don't.
So it's kind of like one, let's let go of like these. This is what the external is all about. These external like expectations or judgment of self, or the hesitancies come from our own anxieties and our own inner voices of like, oh my god, I don't know what this is. Well, you ain't gonna know if you don't ask. That's number one, right? So I would say whatever it is that you feel that you don't know about therapy, ask, write it down, right? And if the person is not someone who answers the questions the way you would, then it's not the person for you,
Mm.
right? So you write down everything that you're curious about and you get a consult, and it doesn't hold you to nothing. You have the power to choose, to meet, to not meet, to get therapy, to not get therapy. And people often don't realize they have their own power. So why are you holding yourself back?
Why are you holding yourself back? Jennifer, come on with it. I mean, come on,
I
come
mean, I be dropping mics in class. I get all into it. So
on. All right, one last question before we wrap this up. What is one truth about therapy you wish that everyone knew?
that is such an interesting question. I would say one, what I just shared, like you're not like this is not an end all be all. It is a process. It is an exploration of self. It is exploration of your well-being and what you want it to look like in the future. And you have all the power and control over what that looks like. I think a lot oftentimes people don't really understand that like you can meet with someone, not like them, and meet with somebody else. Like there's so many options out there for your treatment and your wellness. And then also that a lot of people don't really know that therapy is covered by insurance.
Mm,
It's really common that if people have not engaged or don't know anybody that engages in therapy, they don't even know that it's something that's potentially or most likely covered by your health insurance. So those are some little things that maybe when I was younger, I first of all I wouldn't have known. I
hmm
wouldn't have known at all, and I definitely wouldn't have even contemplated therapy as a young person because it just didn't exist in my world, right? So I think over like through life experience, I learned. And I say, give yourself the opportunity to learn and grow. We are meant to have experiences in this life.
hmm
That's how we grow.
Yeah. All right. I feel like I have my own therapy session today with all of it. And I really appreciate you doing this interview, and I really do feel that people will be touched by this and have a better understanding, or what is it called? A feeling to want to feel to get to know their own self from the inside out. I got a feeling people will be looking at mindfulness. People will be in the grass, outside, counting their
Yes,
so as much.
absolutely. And I thank you. It was a pleasure.
Yes, yes. Jennifer is in the Massachusetts office, and she is taking clients right now as we speak. But I got a feeling after this, she's gonna be booked up. So either y'all could get, or you're gonna have to wait until next season. But again, Jennifer, thank you so much. And if you want to talk to Jennifer, you just go to toolsofsuccesscounseling.com, and she will be under the Massachusetts tab, and she's giving out Her consultation, 15 minutes for free, costs you nothing, and you can go from there. Again, Jennifer, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, bye bye.